Well, I'm here to talk to you today about the first global assessment on the current state of organizational excellence. This is a study that started 3.5 years ago. It was a brainstorm of the Organizational Excellence Technical Committee that is out of ASQ, but it includes members from around the world using various excellence models, and we're there to learn and share from each other. And we were talking about, well, why don't we do a team project? And thinking about what that should be, and one of the members said, why don't we use your excellence model and your automated assessment and reporting tool and capture the current state of organizational excellence that we have in the world? And that current state of organizational excellence is along a continuum of people that don't know anything at all about this field, all the way through to those that are very sophisticated and are using excellence models or different sorts of approaches. In the end, what this is going to provide us with is a snapshot by organization size, industry sector, and country. To what extent do organizations have a culture committed to excellence? To what extent have they deployed best management practices that we find in excellence models? And think about it. Think how we can leverage the results. Results are going to be able to tell us where organizations are strong, where they need a little bit of help. They're going to help countries make decisions about how to support industry sectors, associations, and what sort of training can be provided to their members. Individual businesses, how to better serve their customers. So it was launched by the Organizational Excellence Technical Committee, this study. It's been led by my firm. I think back now, well, why did I volunteer to do this? Because, you know, there's no budget for the study. But I thought, you know, this is such a tremendous opportunity. You know, we can gather data and information that is going to be of such benefit to the entire excellence community. And at the same time, we're going to be able to create more awareness and understanding with the general working population. Now, we've been supported by QLBS, which is the firm that runs our technological platform. And for those of you that don't know QLBS, I mean, the CEO used to be on the executive of Apple. So this technological platform is pretty good. The Global Benchmarking Network has been really good about promoting the study, you know, to contacts and members. The ISO Technical Committee 176, which represents the standard 9001, has been involved, International Academy for Quality, and then the rock stars. We started out, a few of us on the technical committee, promoting the assessment and inviting our connections to participate. But we knew pretty quickly that this is a big, big hill to climb. And so my team has gone out and we've recruited about 350 professionals around the world that have all agreed to contribute their time and invite their connections to participate in this. We're letting the world know, we're letting the working population, that 80% especially of the working population that's never heard of excellence models, we're letting them know that these excellence models provide a formula for success. You implement the best management practices, you can create a culture committed to excellence, and you can go on to achieve exceptional results across a balanced system of measurement. The framework that I've developed is an integrated framework. It takes the definitions of all the principles and the best management practices that we find in all excellence models, and it puts it in one place. And the automated assessment and reporting tool really helps our job a lot easier in terms of gathering the information and reporting it in dashboards. Now, this excellence model is a little different in that it uses the language of management. Myself being a management consultant, I found that the most frequently asked question that I ever received from clients is, how do you do this or how do you do that? Do you know, so the model brings together what we know in excellence and tells the working population how to implement it. And we use the implementation guidelines that are used by seasoned management consultants. And so that helps people get off to a good start. Here's the principles. You'll probably recognize this as being very similar to the excellence models that you're using. They're really the principles that characterize a culture committed to excellence and that we see in high-performing organizations. And then we've got these key management areas, and this is where all the best management practices reside. And we've got performance measures for those key management areas and for the organization as a whole. This is a picture of the automated assessment tool. It's really great in that when you're rating a statement or taking a look at the rating scale, that you can hold your cursor over top of the item in question, and it brings up more information so that everybody's rating the same thing at the end of the day. And then it aggregates all these results and allows us to create dashboards that make it easier to look at the results. So the data that we're collecting is, first of all, demographic information. What position is the person in the organization? Leader, management, staff, or other? And that could, let's say, be a board member. The size of the organization, micro, small, medium, and large, on the basis of the number of employees. The type of organization, is it government, business, nonprofit? Industry sector, there's 21 of them according to an international classification. And so we're taking a look at all 21 by sector and subsector. And then country, there's 218 countries in the world. And I'm not sure that we're going to get enough respondents by country to be able to give a good profile for each and every country. But we're going to be able to provide a good profile by region of the world if we consider using the World Bank grouping. And that's 7 regions. It takes all the ratings that the respondents provide, all their open-ended comments, and then it brings it all together when it's summarizing the information. We've been sharing the aggregate results so far on the open LinkedIn site for the technical committee. And we're hoping that it really provides foundational information for the good work that we do in the excellence sector. And the whole intention is not just to benefit the excellence community, but of course the working population at large. So let's take a look at a few of the results. First of all, the teaser assessment is just on the culture of excellence. So to what extent does an organization have a culture committed to excellence? You can see how many organizations have responded, how many industry sectors, how many countries that we've got data and information for now. And then we can see by role and size of organization and type of organization the respondents. So it's something that leadership and management is interested in. And of course, micro-sized organizations are out in front, as well as business. And here's the data so far. You can see that there's a couple of principles where we've got relatively high ratings, and that's leadership involvement and focus on the customer. And they're actually surprisingly high ratings, I thought, when I first saw the data. And the areas where probably need to improve, or where organizations aren't doing as much work, are on the database decision-making and process-based process management. Taking a look by business, you can see that business is a little bit out in front in terms of an overall average on the principles, followed by the nonprofit sector and then government. And in terms of organization size, we can see that micro-sized organizations have got a higher overall rating on the principles, followed by large, small, and medium-sized organizations. And by position, we see that leaders are perceiving the culture in their organization a little bit more positively than their counterparts. These are some of the very high responding industry sectors so far, which is, I find, quite interesting. You know, it answers that question, who's interested in excellence? And we see that the professional, scientific, and technical group, now these are management consultants, accountants, people working in research, you know, they've got the highest overall average principal rating so far, but followed quite closely by the financial and insurance sector. And, you know, most of the sectors are actually doing quite well. And the lowest overall rating is the government sector. Here's a look at the top country count. So we've had a really good response from Canada and the United States, India, Brazil, and Greece. So I'm pleased about that. That's where we'll be able to provide a really good profile of the country because we've got enough respondents to draw some conclusions. Now here's the full assessment. The full assessment's a little bit different because it not only takes a look at the 9 principles, but it also takes a look at the 9 key management areas and all the best management practices within. And here we've got a pretty good response so far by number of organizations and industry sectors, getting a start on countries. Most, I think, respondents prefer to fill out the teaser assessment because it only takes about 5 minutes. But the full assessment, you know, you've got to lock down for 15, 20 minutes to complete it. But so far, so good. And we've got a few weeks left in the assessment, so I'm forever hopeful that we'll attract some more organizations. When we take a look at how these organizations that did the full assessment did on the principles, the ratings are really quite similar. We see similar trends here. And notice how high the ratings are. Do you know, if you know anything above 6, you're really doing quite well. And so overall, they're rating themselves quite positively. Again, with the strength in the leadership and customer area and the opportunities for improvement on the process database decision-making area. But look what happens on the key management areas. You know, as the respondents dive into the best management practices by key management area, I think all of a sudden they realize that, oh, there's a little bit more to this than meets the eye. And all of a sudden we see the ratings and overall average ratings drop quite significantly. And we're seeing strength in the governance and the customers area, but we're seeing lower scores in planning, suppliers and partners, and resource management. So a bit of work to do there. So far, as I look at the data, and we haven't taken a look yet by industry sector or individual country, with the exception of Canada. I did a presentation in Canada last September, and I took a look at the data from Canada, and I compared Canada to the rest of the world results. And I shared that at a conference, and it was quite interesting. But some of the things I'm noticing so far in the data are that these organizations are rating their culture pretty high, but when it comes to the key management areas and the best management practices, all of a sudden those ratings slip. And that's very interesting that organizations are doing more present-oriented practices like strategic planning and business planning and this sort of thing. But when you take a look at future-oriented practices, when an organization has to look into the future, like preparing a contingency plan for unforeseen events, all of a sudden the ratings are much lower. And also, when you take a look at collaborative activities, the numbers are lower. Things like benchmarking, things like working with customers to take a look at your work processes, or working with suppliers and partners on better standards, developing better products and services, the numbers are lower. Another observation is when we take a look at performance measurement. I think a lot of organizations these days are asking that question. What do we measure and how do we measure? And this model includes the most commonly used performance measures around the world. and they're, it's a good selection of measures to choose from across the key management areas and for the organization as a whole. And what we notice is that there's 3 measures that a lot of organizations are using, which is great, because when we take a look at micro-sized organizations, they should be using these measures, plus employee satisfaction. So those 4 measures are good for micro-sized organizations. But when we take a look at larger-sized organizations, they should probably have, 6 to 8 measures. And so there's an opportunity for improvement there. So the question is how can we leverage these results as an excellence community? We can work with organizations to create much more awareness about excellence models and the benefit that they provide. And we can work with them to help gauge where their strengths are, where their opportunities for improvement are. And then we can collaborate to compete when we're creating more awareness about the good work that's been done over the last 25 years. It's surprising to me that only 20% of the global working population knows about excellence models. And I think the reason is because there's so many business solutions out there. Just take a look at LinkedIn. You take a look at all the professionals and the organizations and businesses. They're the consultants, quality organizations. They've got lots of business solutions. There's a plethora of them. It becomes really, really confusing to the working population. What do I do? Which way do I go? What's the best approach? Can you imagine if we worked together as an excellence community to promote what it is we've got and how it is we can help? It would make a phenomenal difference to organizations and their performance, to creating those stronger organizations that will then contribute to the economy and trade and resident quality of life. And we could speak with a very, very loud voice so we could rise above that plethora of business solutions. And I was pleased to hear earlier today people talking about working together. We've got some good things here in terms of our models and our tools and our techniques. It's just that nobody really knows about it, and I think by working together, we could really make a difference. So that's a message I'd like to leave here today. Let's work as a team. Together, everyone will achieve more. And in terms of next steps, if you haven't participated in the global assessment yet, please do. I'd invite you to take either the teaser or the full assessment. On a page listed here on my website, we've got a couple dashboards that are showing the real-time results. And then I've been publishing interim reports, and I'm getting ready to publish the complete report in early 2019. So I'd invite you to take a look at that and see how you can use it to your advantage, and think about how we as an excellence community can work together. Thank you.